Welcome back to another episode of Chakra Care for the Creative Soul, where busy lightworkers learn to care as much for themselves as they care for the world while they're birthing their dreams into a beautiful reality. Hello, my name is Pollyanna Blanco, and I'll be your host today. I am a sacred self-care coach, a creative midwife, a Chakradance Facilitator, a quantum energy healer, and an author. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about and discuss how it can be so easy to neglect our self-care as light workers. And this is a topic that's so near and dear to my heart. And it's because right now, more than ever, it's so key for us to care for ourselves. And yet, as light workers, there can be so many distractions that I want to say almost ironically pull us out of caring for ourselves. It's something that I see over and over again. I've experienced it in my own journey. I've struggled with it at times in my own journey, and it still resurfaces from time to time. I'm going to be completely transparent. What are some of the flags that this is happening? Well, I'm going to be completely honest with all of you and transparent. Before I started recording this show that's going to air this Sunday, or today when you're watching it, I was struggling a little bit to come up with content, which for me was a sign that I need to really check in with myself about my sacred self-care this week. It's been cards on the table, a very busy work where I teach as well. I've also been a full-time educator for 27 years and counting now. And one of the things that, it's been a fulfilling week. It's been an exciting week. We're getting ready for a student art show, and my grade 11 crafts class is putting on a charity artists and crafts fair. And we've had field trips, and we've had assemblies for Asian Heritage Month, and the list goes on. It's just been one of those. And tomorrow I'm going to an Indigenous gathering through the Urban Indigenous Education Center, Badabin, over at the Petroglyphs Provincial Park, and we're going to be holding ceremony there. And because I'm going to be writing an Indigenous education grade 9 course for next year, and so I've been part of this 4-cycle gathering that's a beautiful linking arms with the Indigenous community here to indigenize education. And so lots of exciting things percolating going on. And so I'm going to be really transparent. My morning ritual, I let it slide. My evening ritual, I let it slide because I've been in go mode. And even the social media that, I'm on where I share things, there are certain practices that are really good to use that, I know make a difference. I let it slide. I've been giving, and giving because it feels good, because it's how I want to live my life. It's because that's just what I'm built to do. And I've had a really joyous week this week at work. And at the same time, right before, I started recording this, I stopped and re-recorded several times. My inner critic was loud, and it was because I was trying to make something happen. So that's why today's show may be a little shorter, and it's going to be like everything, let it all hang out, keep it really real, because I just want to share that, I've been on an inner awakening journey now for 27 plus years. And this is something that is just so common, and yet I think we don't want to talk about it because it's something we don't really want to admit to because of the fear that, and there's still a fear there of judgment. And this is the judgment that comes from ourselves ultimately, because anything that we perceive as coming from outside of us is really just mirroring back to us what still needs to be healed inside of us, right? And I made certain conscious choices this week that I knew that, this stuff was going to take a little more time and energy, and I was going to, just have to kind of dial back some of my sacred self-care practices. And so I told myself I was making a conscious choice. And so that's good, right? At the same time, I also am noticing that this is where this is where the slippery slope begins, right? For a lot of us. Because when we care about the world and we have so much to give to the world, we send a little bit of energy over here and a little bit of energy over there and a little bit of energy over there and up here and down there. And before you know it, it's like those practices, whatever they might be for you, walking in nature, meditating, singing a mantra, dancing, doing sort of inspired dance, whatever it is that feels, nourishing, that is part of your consistent self-care. Because I definitely have one that I do every morning and every evening. And I've been doing it for years and years now. I've got it completely memorized, and it emerges and evolves and changes. And I like that consistency because I notice when I do it, everything flows. This week, I was sort of bargaining with myself. And I think a lot of us do this as light workers. We bargain with ourselves because we notice that, there are a lot of choices that we need to make. And at the end of the day, where I come back to right now is that I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that the week has unfolded as it has, even with dialing back my sacred self-care practices. And at the same time, I know I need to commit to them from a place of not feeling guilty, not feeling ashamed, not pressuring myself or being hard on myself or judging myself, from a place of noticing what I've been noticing over the week, that while there's been a lot of flow, a lot of things have been going well, and I knew I was going to be making my choices a little differently this week, that now the inspiration for this show was a little clunky before it came through loud and clear, and I felt comfortable just being real and sharing and letting that inspired speech come through me to all of you. Is that was one of the flags, that the making it happen, and I think this happens for us, the starting to hesitate about if I have time or energy to go for a walk, forgetting to drink enough water, forgetting to do, I love this technique from Shri and Kira, the erase technique. Check out their work. They talk about this, getting off of a Zoom call, getting off of social media, getting off of your phone, getting off of your laptop. I'm on a laptop at times at work, doing this practice to reset your energy, cleansing and clearing your energy, calling it back at the end of the night. I was doing my sacred self-care in the shower in the morning, so it wasn't completely gone. But my longer routine in the morning that really fills me up, what shifted from the allowing was shifting into making things happen, forcing things, figuring things out, getting frustrated. I noticed that when I was driving home today, instead of staying neutral, I was getting frustrated with some aggressive drivers. What else were the flags? I guess another flag is, noticing that it was easy if something happened to dip down into a little bit of, not feeling worthy of X, Y, and Z, like not feeling like I was like that, those life scripts start to kind of work their way back in. Like, I'm not good enough, or maybe it's wrong of me, to take the time I need to do this, because it makes somebody else uncomfortable. I should put other people's needs before my own. I'm being selfish, so this, noticing the thoughts, noticing the emotions, noticing the physical body, like my physical body. Okay, this is another flag, right? When we're not restoring the sacred to our self-care, it's like we tend to kind of get into like what we call tunnel vision, and that's how I think a lot of us can miss the red flags, that we're letting our energy be all siphoned and drained out without replenishing, losing our connection to the divine. And another one was my body. Like my this is for real. Like I've never had this experience before. I looked down at my feet yesterday and my legs and they were puffy. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I'm so grateful for all of these experiences because here I am saying I'm a sacred self-care coach. Thank you, universe, for showing me that sacred self-care is essential in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am super clear now as we move into June that this is a non-negotiable. And this is what I want to invite all of you to really get real with yourself about, to take that fearless inventory of truth telling and really notice what you're noticing. Look for your own flags. Look for the little signs that your maybe mind wants to like erase or, just overlook. And notice, how long those are going on for. Like, and I'm fortunate, like it's been a week and like no more. We're getting back to the regular schedule of things. And so, but for some of us, like this is where we can kind of get in our way. And I know I did this earlier on in my journey a lot more often than I want to admit. I would have good intentions and postpone and procrastinate and then feel darn guilty about it. And as a result, I created a lot of noise inside, a lot of static on the line, a lot of resistance, and a lot of fear and a lot of scarcity. And so now I just know that if we're honest with ourselves and we really tune in, and it comes back to the presence, right? It comes back to just really being willing, even if we identify as being light workers, making sure that we're not using all the other good stuff that we're doing in the world as an escape hatch from noticing how we also need to care for ourselves. And when I say an escape hatch, I don't in any way intend for that to sound judgmental. And if it does, I sincerely apologize. What I mean by an escape hatch is the shadow side to it, right? And this is something one of my clients was sharing with me, and it came up, and I thought it was really profound. It's that sometimes we have old patterns underneath all the giving, all the sharing, all the good stuff that we want to bring into the world that are attached to the people pleasing, the seeking validation outside of ourselves. And so another red flag, and this is what I really wanted to share, is that if you are shooting yourself, if you are, for example, that you have the standard in your mind of how you want to show up out there for someone else, and at the same time you notice you're procrastinating, you notice you're postponing it, as opposed to just jumping in, hand on heart and showing up in that way. Check in with yourself about what's motivating you to do it. Because if there's a spin cycle between like shooting yourself, procrastinating and resisting, and then feeling guilt and shame for not having done it, and then kind of knocking yourself down a few pegs, and then that's when the life scripts come in. That's when the worthiness, I'm not good enough, and there's something wrong with me, or comparisonitis to other people who are so much better and kinder, and the self-judgment. These are the cracks where all that stuff starts to seep in. And then this is where the distraction gets really wild. It's like a big tumbleweed that we get caught up in, right? And that's where it can get kind of intense. And we can unfurl ourselves from all of it. And I like to call it 50 first dates. Like I have, and I will again. The key is each time we do it, we have more awareness. Each time we do it, we have more compassion for ourselves. Each time we do it and we invite self-forgiveness in, we restore that sense of trust and that sense of wholeness, that sense that there's actually nothing wrong with us. It's just our process of remembering that we are the divine in human form, and that the connection that we have to that expanded divine co-creative presence in us is always ever present. We just need to show up for it. See, if we're so busy showing up for everything that appears to be outside of us, we're seeking that out there. And that's well intended, but we also need to show up in here for this inner environment that we have and really nourish it with that presence. And then it'll just ripple out. It'll ripple out, it'll flow out naturally. And it's ever replenishing, ever flowing, right? Because it's that torus field, it's that tube torus field of light that's just an energy that's like a fountain, right? It's replenishing itself. It's like it's expanding out into our field, and we're, and then it's flowing in from the divine and out, and then coming back in and then out, and it's keeping us in that infinite abundance, that infinite presence, that infinite self-care, that infinite sacredness. When it's all just being sent out, and we're not allowing ourselves to receive anything in here. So that's what I felt inspired to share with all of you today. I hope you found some nugget in it for yourself. And if you did, I invite you to share it with someone else you care about, and just keep shining your light, beautiful. I'm getting tongue-tied. I get that way when I get excited sometimes. Oh, let's say that again. Rewind. Keep shining your light, bright, beautiful, creative soul. And remember, your presence matters in the world right now. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it and share it and spread some love and replenish your cup first. It's the most responsible thing that you can do. Lots of love and light. Be well.